Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
President Trump conceded it looks as though journalist Jamal Khashoggi is dead. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll tell you what the president is threatening if it's proven the Saudis murdered Khashoggi.
Back here in the Treasure State, President Trump makes a third campaign visit to Montana with a rally in Missoula coming up. What he had to say about Montana's Republican candidates.
Good morning to you and welcome to your Friday. It is 6:30. I'm Missy O'Malley with Chet Lehman. Matt Elwell will have our forecast in just a moment. Top story for you now. Sources tell CBS News that the Saudi investigation into the disappearance of journalist Jamal Khashoggi could wrap up by tomorrow. Yeah, President Trump is warning of severe consequences for those found responsible for his likely death. CBS's Laura Podesta has the details.
President Trump says missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi is likely dead.
It certainly looks that way to me. It's very sad. It certainly looks that way.
And he warned of consequences for Saudi Arabia if it's found culpable.
It'll have to be very severe. I mean, it's bad stuff. But we'll see what happens.
Saudi Arabia and Turkey are both investigating Khashoggi's disappearance. The Washington Post journalist was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd.
I told President Trump this morning that we ought to give them a few more days.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo briefed the president Thursday after returning from a fact-finding mission in Riyadh and Istanbul. Sources tell CBS News nobody in the U.S. government has seen or heard the recordings Turkish officials claimed to have proving Khashoggi was murdered. Pompeo urged the president to wait for the results of the investigations.
When we see that, we'll get a chance to determine, all of us will get a chance to make a determination with respect to the credibility and the work that went into that.
There are now reports Saudi Arabia may ultimately blame a high-level intel official for Khashoggi's death. Both the New York Times and Washington Post say a top general may be accused of going rogue, an explanation that would deflect blame from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Now, yesterday, the Committee to Protect Journalists, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and Reporters Without Borders all called on Turkey to ask the United Nations to launch its own investigation. They say the UN involvement is the best guarantee against a Saudi whitewash. There are also reports one of the men accused in Khashoggi's death died in a car crash after returning to Saudi Arabia. So this story just keeps getting twistier and twistier.
It really does.
The plot thickens, as they say. We'll continue to follow the progress of that. Meantime, Matt, the plot thickens, the sky's clear.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And temperatures climb. It looks like we're doing okay. I think today's going to be a little cooler than it was yesterday, but not by much. Nothing that's really going to be earth-shattering there. Temperatures holding into the 30s this morning for most of the area. Notice our daytime highs should be near the 60-degree mark pretty much across the board. Now, the weekend looks fantastic. We're starting to see a little change in our weather pattern coming up. Speaking of which, we'll take a look at our winter outlook coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Now 6:32 against the backdrop of the mountains and a Montana sunset. President Trump made his third visit to the Treasure State. President Trump spoke for 70 minutes last night, giving an aggressive pitch to Montanans to vote out Senator Jon Tester.
He hit on many familiar themes, from taxes to immigration to the Supreme Court. One very unexpected one about Montana's Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte. MTN's Mike Dennison has our recap.
Democrats have become the party of crime. It's true.
President Trump didn't waste much time firing up the partisan crowd of several thousand people, castigating Democrats for their treatment of Supreme Court nominee and now Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
And come Election Day, Americans will remember Kavanaugh, and they will remember all sorts of other things because that was a shameful act.
He also made it personal against Senator Tester, saying he especially wanted to come to Montana to help defeat him after Tester aired accusations that sunk Trump's VA nominee, Ronnie Jackson, this spring.
He was attacked so viciously, so violently by Jon Tester like I've never seen before. True. All lies, all made up stuff.
Trump didn't bring out Tester's opponent, Republican Matt Rosendale, until a half hour into the speech.
Jon Tester has been too wrong for too long.
We can't let Jon Tester and the radical liberal resistance win this November. If they win, they'll go after President Trump and his agenda. We can't let that happen.
But shortly before that, the president praised Congressman Gianforte for body slamming a reporter on the night before Gianforte's election last year.
Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind.
He also brought the crowd to a roaring approval with tough talk about securing the border.
And we will keep the criminal drug dealers and terrorists the hell out of our country.
We heard a pretty raw red meat appeal from the president Thursday night to vote for Republicans in Montana this election, with barely a nod to the middle. In just 2.5 weeks, we'll find out if that translates into victory at the polls. Reporting from Missoula, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, President Trump boarded Air Force One just a few minutes after completing his speech and was off to Arizona for another campaign rally, and that'll be held later today.
And President Trump's visit also drew opposition from some people in Missoula. MTN's Jonathan Imberian has this report.
Hundreds of people gathered at Missoula's Playfair Park Thursday afternoon for a Love Trump's Hate rally.
We wanted to show President Trump and the nation what Missoula is about. Missoula is about community, tolerance, acceptance, and love.
People in attendance listened to speakers like Missoula Mayor John Engen and carried signs criticizing what they say is divisive language from the president.
I feel like right now what President Trump has done has divided our country, and people are being less tolerant of our differences.
Politics has changed because there is tacit acceptance of hatred.
The event was organized by the group Missoula Rises. Leaders say they put it together in just 6 days.
When we heard he was coming to Missoula, we felt it was important to get our community together and respond to his divisive and hateful rhetoric by coming together as a community and getting out the vote.
A bus was on hand during the event, carrying people to the county elections office to register and vote. To symbolize the importance of voting, the event ended at the election center at the fairgrounds. Marchers came from Playfair Park to the election center, some even dropping off their absentee ballots as they arrived. Rally organizers said many people in Missoula had strong reactions to the president.
We are doing an excellent job of channeling all of those emotions into something constructive. So we respond to that by getting out the vote and voting in people who can make a difference.
In Missoula, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Now, the Tester campaign says the senator is focusing on talking about issues such as public lands, veterans, and health care. Campaign gave this response to President Trump's speech.
Tonight was a political speech in an election year, but Senator Tester today, he spent his day down in Butte. He met with a bunch of veterans, Republicans, independents, Democrats to talk about his work for veterans and all the work he's done to secure the Southwest Montana Veterans Home there, which is a big issue in this campaign. And that is a facility that Matt Rosendale voted against when he was a state legislature. So Senator Tester spent today talking about the issues that matter to Montanans in this election, one of those being veterans. And that's what we're focused on in this campaign.
Now, in other political news, after a lengthy investigation into Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke's travel, the Department of Interior Inspector General found that Zinke and his wife did violate policy for government travel. The investigation found the secretary broke agency policy when his wife Lola traveled with him in federal vehicles. The report also said Zinke considered trying to get around agency rules by making her a volunteer at the agency. This would have allowed her to travel for free with him on the taxpayer's dime. However, Secretary Zinke denies this claim and says the report says Zinke's reimbursed the government for Lola Zinke's travel when required.
In other news, a Montana woman thought she found a way to make some extra money on the side, but what she actually found was a scam. In this week's Fraud Watch, she shares her story with MTN's Jacob Fewer as a warning for others.
When Samara Sam Penarts checked her phone one day, there was a text message from a local number. It offered her something that, as a part-time Uber driver, she found enticing. Budweiser, she thought, was offering a free car wrap, essentially a mobile advertisement that Penarts could use to supplement her income.
I've seen breweries around town have car wraps. I've seen beer companies. Again, nothing, no red flags, no concerns.
Wanting to learn more, she sent the anonymous number her name and mailing address. A while later, a letter arrived at the mailbox.
There was no foreign stamps or anything that would set off any bells or whistles, any concern.
Inside the envelope, a cashier's check and a letter. The check marked for almost $2,000. It looked real. The letter, however, didn't.
The letter looked like something that someone would type up if they were practicing typing.
She called Budweiser directly, who confirmed her suspicions.
And she said, please throw it away, tear it up, it's not from us.
The Office of Consumer Protection investigates scams exactly like this. Investigator Marcus Meyer even produces for me a stack of fake checks that they've collected over the years and now use to train people to spot a scam. Usually, Meyer says the scam comes after an unknowing victim deposits a fake check, and then the scammers say that it was for more than they had originally intended.
The victim will deposit the check and then will be asked to wire the over amount to the scammer.
Later, the bank determines that the check is fake and the victim loses the money that they send. For Pennart, she's glad she spotted the warning signs before it was too late, and she encourages others to come forward to share their stories to raise awareness.
And say, this happened to me, I'm a little embarrassed that I let it get as far as I did, but it does happen to all of us.
In Helena, Jacob Fuhrer, MTN News.
Now, the OCP says if you have any questions about the authenticity of a check, take it to your bank and ask them to look at it before you cash it.
Good idea.
Some good tips there.
If it's too good to be true,
it's
too good to be true.
Is. Yes. Time for a quick break. In a moment, we continue with our chief political reporter, Mike Dennison's coverage on the Senate race and where the candidates stand on immigration.
But first, we're going to check in with Gayle King to see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, as Saudi Arabia prepares to release a report about the apparent assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, we'll look at the surprising ties the kingdom has with the U.S. economy. And here's a question. What would you do with $970 million? That's almost $1 billion. That's tonight's Mega Millions jackpot. That's the largest of all time. Your chances of winning and what the money raised from the lottery helps to fund. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Dream big, people.